Get information from a respectable international or official local source. When in doubt of COVID-19 information, verify before sharing or repeating the information. Prepare for COVID-19 with an easy plan of action for yourself and your family to put into practice to avoid or reduce the spread of the illness. Be calm and continue to stay informed of the developments of COVID-19. Adjust your plans where necessary based on official advisories. Your local health authority can provide the best information on whether COVID-19 is spreading in your area. If you become seriously ill with cold or flu-like symptoms, please contact your doctor or nearest health center. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health at our toll-free number 0800 MOH Care or through our Facebook pages, the Ministry of Health Belize or the Office of the Director of Health Services. We are here to help you. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
Think water. Think crystal water. For energy and health, you need to drink water throughout the day. Crystal water is the most consistent and best tasting water in Belize, trusted to refresh you and your family. Think water. Think crystal water. With 11 stages of purification to offer you the peace of mind you deserve, crystal water is the taste you can trust.
Did you know that your Sagicor advisor can help you plan how to make your golden years your best years? Call a Sagicor agent today.
I had a really good time tonight.
So did I.
Life moves fast. Be prepared with Sagicor. Learn more at sagicorlife.com.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Mothers. This morning again we are inside the comforts of our own home. That seems to be the safest place we can be. But nonetheless, we thought that we have to keep you entertained and educated at the same time. So we look for people all over the world to bring you what we deem as necessary information during this time. Our guest this morning is Kwasa. Kwasa lives right here in this country, but she is from the western part of this country. She today will share with us a little bit about herself and what it will take for you to eat healthy and with what you have. Kwasa, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I am so well. I'm really basking in the heat. I'm grateful for the heat because my fingers are not freezing in the cold. So I'm loving it. I will not complain about the Belizean heat. But I'm very well. I'm very well.
You know, I saw one of my friends posted on Facebook that on a normal weekend and on Easter weekend, the weather wouldn't be like this, and this is the weather we would be dying for. Now, because we're inside, this is the weather we get. You see how life is funny? You never know. Kwasa, tell me a little bit about you. Where did you grow up and where are you from?
Okay, so I'm born and raised in New York, right, in Brooklyn. So my dad, he's from Barbados, so Beja. So I know there are a lot of Bajans here in Belize. So I say I had 3 B's, Barbados, Brooklyn, and Belize. And then my mother's family, so I have the Caribbean side of the family, and then my mother's side of the family are Afro-American. So those are those people, those folks that are from the Black South, right? So I like to say I came up with 2 different flavors of pig feet, right? I came up with the Caribbean flavor and also the Southern flavor. So I grew up in Brooklyn, and I transplanted over to Belize because of the warm weather and so many different things happening in the States. And for some years I was thinking, well, where do I want to spend the next chapter of my life? What do I prioritize? So one of the things that I prioritize is food. I'm very, very big on food, and I started growing food even in a small apartment in Brooklyn in New York. But I came to Belize. I visited Belize several times. There's a lot of English that's spoken here. I can wear flip-flops all the time, and it's also a year-round growing season. So I decided to transplant over to Belize. So that's how I find myself here. But it's Afro-American and also Caribbean. So I'm a mom. I'm a personal trainer. I've trained in one of the top gyms in New York City. So I've had quite an array of clients, from folks from every demographic, from house moms. I did some people as community service. And then also I trained a lot of lawyers and professional people at one of the top gyms. And due to having a lot of obesity in my family and being someone that loves to eat, I decided, at first I was in nutrition school in college, and then I wasn't really impressed with the nutrition program. I've kind of guided my own education over the years. And so I decided to transfer to culinary school, really to make the food more attractive for my people, right? Because a lot of our folks, you know, people of color in the diaspora will eat anything if you put red sauce on it. But I knew that my folks can't eat unhealthy, so I'd have to make it really attractive. So grandma and my mom taught me how to season food, but culinary school taught me how to plate it and present it in a whole nother kind of way. So I've come at body culinary, which is, you know, the body, the physical body, and then also that food part, which is really how I'm able to stay healthy. And I'm really so thankful, right? I'm thankful every single day for this lifestyle.
Well, excellent. What I want to get out of this is, I want to get out of this conversation is I want for people to understand through your experience and your expertise how they can live a healthy life or a healthier life, how they can make something out of what may seem to be very little or nothing considering the times that we are in, and how and why they can should make the transition from the unhealthy lifestyle to the right lifestyle. So hopefully in the next 45 minutes we can achieve all of that. I think that a lot of people, especially in these times, feel that because their budget is tight that they have to eat out of a can or out of a pack. And hopefully through this conversation, they will get the understanding that that is not necessary, that the alternative is much better, and the alternative in a lot of times can be a lot cheaper. So I want to start with your story, because I am sure that you were not always, I would say, 110 pounds or 130 pounds. When you describe your line and you describe what is in your line, I would find it very difficult to believe that you were always looking like this lean, fit woman that sits before me today.
Well, now you're talking my language, because I'm going to tell you, as my mother said, I can show you better than I can tell you. So again, as I've said several times, first of all, I have half of a thyroid. So part of my thyroid has been removed, and I love to eat. I love eating immensely. And I also used to do fitness competitions. So I remember thinking of one competition season, I'm not going to live on a diet. I'm not going to diet. I can't do it. It's like, it's too restrictive, and I have to really enjoy my food. So I really give a lot of credit to my grandma. I talk about my grandma and my two great-grandmothers. So I knew the two great-grandmothers on both sides of my family, right? Both of them were in their 90s. And then my grandma Lou, my Bayesian grandmother, she was in her 90s. All three of these women were in their 90s. And so from a small child, I observed a lot of patterns. Now, my one grandma on the southern side, she died in her early 60s. That's when she transitioned. And I could see several distinct patterns. Now, one thing my grandma said, if I want garbage, I made me own garbage. But she didn't eat garbage. She was big. My grandma Lou ate her own food. So I am so passionate. I call it the ways of the mothers and of the grandmothers. My thing is, like, I'm really passionate about transmitting the ways of the grandmothers, because when I would come into my grandma's house, you know, you take off your shoes, you say goodnight, you wash your hands, and my grandmother would have these plastic lunch trays, and you would sit down, whatever she was doing, usually grating some coconut for her coconut sweetbread. And so even if I didn't want to be there, as soon as I sat down next to her, all of that went out the window. So I'm grating coconut, and then she would let me eat the little bits of coconut that's left over. Once I grated it down, and she would make her sweetbread. She would make her jerk seasoning. She would make her hot pepper sauce. She was always making something. She ate her own food. So she wasn't a swimsuit model. She wasn't vegan. She wasn't vegetarian, but I do credit her as my inspiration for eating the way that I do. All three of those grandmothers were not overweight. They had their good sense. All of them, you know, had some kind of knowledge of bush teas and herbal teas. My grandmother, even on the southern, the Afro-American side, she had these big jars with herbal concoctions, you know, on the shelf, on the homemade bookshelf that my grandpa built. And I actually have my great-grandmother a copy of an old school book called Back to Eden, which is an old book by this man named Jethro Kloss. It's just an old book. But my mother passed it down to me. It's all these herbal remedies, and it's a hardback cover. My mother passed it down to me. She said, you remind me of you know, my grandmother. So I have this thing about, if I think about my grandmothers, first of all, these women lived to be almost a century. They didn't waste anything. And then also, if they lived all through a century, they experienced times where they didn't have access, and sometimes they weren't allowed to have access or to go into certain areas to shop for certain things. So they had to be self-sufficient. They took one thing and they did many different things with it. So I just think, like, I know my grandmother didn't waste. So say, for example, olive oil. Olive oil was prayer oil. Olive oil was hair oil. Olive oil was salad oil. If you was walking past them, they would take the oil because, you know, Black folks like a shiny face. So they got the kids to be shiny. They'd wipe the oil on your face. They took one thing and they did numerous different things. They take herbs and steep the herbs in the oil. Then they would make something called liniment. Maybe they call it something different in the Caribbean, where they take menthol, eucalyptus, and all the stuff, mix it with oils, and they put it on your chest for a cold. So they took one thing and they did many different things with it. So that's like my approach to food. If I have the fresh raw ingredients, I'll do several different things with one ingredient.
Tell me when you decided to make this change, because I mean, you grew up in a household or around people that had different eating habits. Your grandmother may have eaten like that, and even though she was not skinny, she was eating as healthy as she could. So tell me a little bit about you in terms of your journey. Where did you start? When did you start your journey, and where? And walk me through a little bit of your journey. How heavy were you, and what made you say, you know what, I can't handle this. All of this is not for me.
Oh, well, yeah, that's pretty clear. So my grandma on my mother's side, again, she passed in her 60s. She was diabetic. And I remember she would have us go to the fridge to get her the little bottles of insulin, which she would have to give herself an injection. I was saying, like, ooh, I was scared. I was like, I don't like needles. So I'm just a small child. I don't know the word for obesity or fat. I know it's not fat, it's just grandma, you know? So I remember her feet almost bursting open from diabetes, and my grandpa had to wash her feet down. So she also seemed very irritated, even though she was kind of angry. But looking back on it now, I was like, wow, she's mean. She's mean. And so now looking back, she didn't feel good, you know? So when you don't feel good. So I remember around high school, right, is where I started. And from a young person, I started to make certain connections with patterns. Because when I started to see old pictures of my mom and my grandma slim and fine with poodle skirts on, I would think, like, well, how come they look like this? How did they go from this to that? So I remember distinctly in my mind thinking, how did they go from this to that? So my eyes, I would say, were open and peeled. And when I got to high school, I got to go to a different neighborhood, to a different high school that was near Chinatown. So I was exposed to a lot. And then also I got an after-school job in the village in an area called Soho in New York City. So you had all kinds of people. Some people would even say freaky. But you were just exposed to everything. You know, I never had heard of falafels. I had never heard of sushi. I never saw people with spikes in their hair, you know, vegetarian restaurants. It was like a whole new world. So I got to sample and taste things. And I also had my own money. So now I could start, you know, because children do not buy groceries. Children do not buy groceries. So once I got a little bit of my own money, I was able to sample falafels and tahini sauce and foods from different cultures, Indian food. You know, I got to sample, you know, all of these different things. Now, and I would bring my little stash home and things to share. My family would just pour Kool-Aid all over my health food. You know, they didn't really respect my health food. I mean, it was like, I used to be really sad. I was like, I would go looking for my little healthy treats or my conditions in the fridge, and like, either somebody would eat or bite off of it, put it back in the refrigerator, or pour Kool-Aid all over my stuff. So, you know, what I've learned over the years is you get more flies with honey. So usually I would try to find, I used to be a junk food junkie, and I used to have a whole lot of acne, and I would be what I would call, I didn't get to the point where I was very overweight, but I was pleasantly plump. I was starting to fill out, and I would get compliments about being plump. They would say, "Oh, you look good. You got big thighs, just like your mama." And I was thinking, like, no, that's not going to work for me. The needles, in the leg, it's not going to work for me. So I had a gym teacher that had us do square dancing, which I thought was totally corny. Why are Black children, why in Chinese, why are we square dancing? But this gym teacher had us run around the block. So I got curious as to whether or not, I wonder if I went to the park near me, if I could go around the park. Nobody wanted to go with me. So I just wanted to see if I could go around the park by myself. So I went around like one time, then I went to see if I could go several times, and then I went a little bit farther. So I started to realize that movement was something that I could do alone if nobody ever wanted to come and spend time with me. I just started to feel very relaxed in nature. It was like a personal challenge to me. And then also I used to look at sprinters. They used to have these games called the Colgate games, where they would have sprinters and people competing. And to me, I would just mimic people that I saw. So I was like, I didn't think about, Olympics, but I just wanted to be a sprinter. So I just started challenging myself. And then also later on in high school, after I got my first job on Wall Street, I couldn't keep clubbing. I was not a drinker or a smoker, but I was a dancer. But I could not come into work sleepy. So I had to find an alternative to going to clubs. So somebody told me about a dance class. It was an African dance class. And I went one time and I was hooked. So the woman that was teaching the dance class was so much older than me. Now that I look at it, she was probably my age. And I could not keep up with her, and I could not understand why. My mind was blown. How come I cannot keep up with this woman? She later became my godmother. And when I tell you she had a six-pack back then, she got a six-pack to this day. I don't know how old she is. She and my godparents have a dance company. And every summer they would fast, they would juice, they were just healthy people. So I really needed to see a Black woman that was fit, healthy, and living her best life and not bitter. And I found this person at an African dance class. So those became my models, between my grandma being pleasant, my godmother being in just incredible shape, and having also very distinct, such great attitudes. They had such pleasant, vibrant attitudes. So they really stood out in stark contrast to other women that were around me and in my birth family.
Well, excellent. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break and be back.
Think water. Think crystal water. For energy and health, you need to drink water throughout the day. Crystal water is the most consistent and best tasting water in Belize, trusted to refresh you and your family. Think water. Think crystal water. With 11 stages of purification to offer you the peace of mind you deserve, crystal water is the taste you can trust.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives you more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers, and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker, and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
Me and my Marie shops in Inland Lake.
Me and my Marie Sharp in Indiana.
I'm in Rhonda Beach, California with my Marie Sharp.
Me and my Marie shops in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Me and my Marie shop at Hertfordshire, England.
Me and my Marie shops in Taipei, Taiwan.
Marie Sharp, world-class products produced in Belize.
Did you know that it's best to keep the lumber stored in a dry place?
At KT Enterprises, all our wood is stored in an enclosed space to provide our clients with the highest quality.
We allow you to personally select your lumber if you choose, and we deliver countrywide.
Be it deck board, beams, and imported hardwoods such as red oak and white ash. At KT Enterprises, we provide you with the highest grade in treated pine, construction grade plywood, and imported hardwood, delivered to your door.
We continue to build Belize by reforesting its pine forest. Visit us today at 2.3 miles Iguana Creek Road or give us a call at 671-0114 or 672-0114.
Welcome back to Morning Matters. I tell you, this lady definitely has a story. I like that you were aware enough to look around you when you could not find exactly what you were looking for in your immediate surrounding. So you took the good that you saw there and you realized you needed a little bit more, so you went out, you found it, and here you are. In this segment, you now live in San Ignacio. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your life in San Ignacio. What made you say, I will come to Belize, but not only Belize, I will come to San Ignacio in Belize, because Belize is a big place. You have lots of options, you know. There's lots of other places you could have gone. Why San Ignacio?
Market. I have to, whenever I hit the ground somewhere, because I used to work in the travel industry, the first thing that I do when I hit the ground is I look for the food, the fruits and vegetables. I always got to find the market, and I look for movement. Like what kind, is there any kind of dance class, any kind of capoeira, which is a form of Afro-Brazilian martial arts. I look for the movement, what kind of movement and arts are there in the market. So if you land me anywhere, even when I went back to visit in Barbados, and they was like, well, you don't eat meat, what are you gonna eat? I was like, just show me the fruit and vegetable stand where the market is and I'll be fine. I can take anything, any kind of fruit and vegetable, and I can turn it into a cake, a pie, a milk, just give me with the fresh, raw ingredients. So it was the market. And I used to live more in the bush. I had a whole nother experience toward the bush, but because this is also the location is very near to the bus terminal, so it's easy access to other things. But one of the biggest pulls for me really was the market.
Oh, excellent. In this segment, I want to learn a little bit about your food. But before we get into that, I want to find out how you're handling this situation that not only we face, but the entire world.
Well, you know, that's a lot because most of my family is actually in New York. And so there's so many different theories about what's going on. And so I make an effort to keep in contact with my folks back in the States. I have quite a few people in New York, also in Queens. And so from the reports, it's pretty, sometimes I can't even believe the numbers of people that I'm hearing dying and transitioning. I know 2 people personally that have contracted and are recovering. And I would say for me, I give thanks for this simple lifestyle. And the people actually that I know are recovering, I have to say, both of them have been long-time healthy lifestyle folks. So both of them, they juice, they drink water, they have some type of movement. So those people I know are recovering. Actually, I have to say I'm quite concerned for a lot of my family members, and from some of what I hear on the news, they're saying that a lot of actually African Americans, is the numbers are really hitting us. And I have never heard so much that diabetes is compromising your immune system. So that wasn't said before, because maybe if it was worded that way, people may have had more of a sense of urgency. So, you know, for years, people have been laughing at me about eating fruits and vegetables and my bird food and my exercise. But that's the best that I can do for a lot of family members is I leave videos on YouTube for them about beginner gardening or, you know, ways they can make the lifestyle simple, accessible, and delicious. You know, because it's actually not as hard as people think to eat healthy.
A lot of people may think that while it is almost impossible, it's complicated to be able to make your meals inexpensive, healthy, and the biggest thing as Caribbean people, it needs to be enough. And the word enough is relative, because what is enough for me may not be enough for you, and vice versa. But as Caribbean people, if they don't see a lot of starch on their plate, they are of the impression that it is not enough. So I want you to address that situation.
Okay, so I feel you on the starch, because when I would go to my grandma's house or other Caribbean people with my dad, you know, who would take me around and say, this lucky daughter, and they sit me down, they put a glass of Marby and some sweet bread and a huge pile of stewed chicken and peas and rice, which is actually quite delicious. So, again, if my food was not delicious, there is zero way I would be able to sustain comfortably. So, fortunately, that's off the table. So, the portions in the starch, I have to say, the few times that I've gone out to the stores around here and I see people online for flour, when I look at people's carts, sometimes I'm really amazed at, I see mostly Vienna sausages, flour, ramen noodles, cookies. Like, there's a year-round growing season here. So sometimes I'm actually in shock. Even in my little humble garden, sometimes children would go by and say, oh, miss, what's that? Oh, miss, what? And I'm thinking like, wow, this is the food that's at the market. So I'm like, as a detective, how come people don't recognize this food? And then I realized, for example, the sesame seeds, my sister and I grew a whole little harvest of sesame seeds right out in the yard. And so people are usually using it for like the peanut brittle or the candy. They're taking the sugar and taking the sesame seeds and the peanuts and making peanut brittle, not realizing that those sesame seeds are full of calcium. You don't even need protein powder. So I would say that there needs to be a reactivation or reintroduction of learning about food as medicine. And so I think that is what I channel really from my grandmothers, that the food, if you drive me anywhere on the planet, I can eat very well, deliciously for $5. For $5, and Belize has enough food here that you can do that with stuff that's right at the market.
I want you to give me an example of a meal that can feed 4 people. That is enough.
No, 50 people? How many people? You want 3 or 4?
4 people. The budget is $10. And
oh my God, it's lovely for $10. You kidding? That's a feast.
What
feast? Are you kidding me?
Because
I can make and sometimes I just feed people. I just bring snacks to just feed people. So I make a really delicious nut meat with the raw peanuts that are right here. Right here. Sometimes I get for a big bag, $3.50 Belize a pound. I can make a nut meat. I can take and put beets and sage and different herbs with it. And I can make big patties that are nice and red for people to feel like it has to look like a burger. I make all different types of delicious wraps from plantains. I can take and I can make sesame milk. I can make peanut punch. I don't even have to buy any honey or any sweeteners. I can take what I call nice cream instead of ice cream and use a base of bananas. And so when people like the rum raisin, I can take the raisins and soak them inside of vanilla and cinnamon and other spices and put that into a mixture of bananas. You know, bananas, 20 bananas I get for $1 US. 20 bananas. And then I take the peels and I put them out in the compost because it has so much potassium and it's great for the garden. Let's see what else. I made sweet potato pie here, just from the yams and the sweet potatoes here. The yams and the sweet potatoes are not expensive. That's a lot of beta carotene. It's a lot of fiber. I just look around my house. I have, last night, I made a recipe that I share with folks online. I call it papaya elixir. I took the carrots. The carrots are about $1.50 a pound. Sometimes you can find them less. So now we have a local food. We're not even getting stuff coming in across the border. So now we're having to really do the ways of the grandmothers have kicked in. So I took the carrots and I took papaya. And I don't juice everything, so I'm not chug-a-lugging just sugar and orange juice down. So papaya, I got papaya for $1 a pound Belize. That's 50 cents US. I got all this papaya. I cut the papaya up, use the fresh, the local limes with carrot juice. So I can juice the carrots, put the whole papaya in there with lime, and I've got like a delicious, elixir in there. That's kind of like a smoothie, but it still has enough fiber. So for folks that are concerned about their sugar, it regulates the fiber, it regulates how much sugar gets in. That's enough for like 4 or 5 people. I make nut meats from sesame seeds. Sesame seeds, I sometimes can get them $3.50 a pound. What else? I just look around my kitchen. If I have the peanuts, I have sunflower seeds. I can take the sunflower seeds. I can grow greens from sunflower seeds in the shell. So it's really a lost art of using the food, the fresh raw ingredients.
You know, Kwasa, you told me a lot of things that you can make, but the average Caribbean person that's listening, they want to know how to put that into a meal. Because when I sit down at the table and put my foot under the table, I want to know that what I put in my stomach will fill me up. I mean, those things sound wonderful. I can make those juices, and I will probably grab one of your videos off YouTube and share it because they sound like excellent ideas. But I want you to give me, let me ask you this time. Right now the government is giving $150 for 2 weeks. How many people in your family, if I may?
Say again, how many people? Right here, I have 2.
Oh, you're a family of 3?
No, right now I have 2. So my other family went back to the States.
How many people in your home in this moment? 2. So 2 people live, you and one more person. If you had 4 people in your home, would you be able to feed them to their satisfaction, whatever, we're going to use the satisfaction as an average. I mean, they're not going to be greedy and they're not going to be not eating, you know. 4 of you, 7 days a week for 2 weeks of $150. If you tell me yes, I want you to give me an example of a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner. And I ask this not to make fun of anybody, but to show the people how it is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was doing that way before this whole situation. I've been doing that for years. Are you kidding me? Again, my Grandma Lou never failed me. Grandma Lou never. So what I can have, let's say, I make a cocoa porridge in the early day, and it's very satisfying. So just one distinction. I like to make several distinctions. Something you spoke about is very, very important, is satiation. When people don't feel full, they get irritated, right? If I have a big son, 27, I can't just give him a bowl of lettuce leaves and expect him to go out in the street. He's going to be irritated and he's not going to be satisfied. Also, he's still grown. He's got like a lot of muscle. So I can make sandwiches, heroes, all kinds of things. So one of the things I like to make is a porridge, right? So I can take the porridge. I can use the mature coconuts to make porridge. I can cut it. That's the base is coconut. I make my own fresh coconut cream with the old-fashioned coconut grater right there. Then I take and I cut up bananas and papaya. It is actually so filling, it's ridiculous. Plus it has water, fiber, and nutrition. The difference when you use some of these cereals and things, people can't get full because it doesn't have water, it doesn't have any fiber, right? Most of the food is so processed is one of the reasons why people keep eating because their cells are not getting any nutrition. So I can have coconut porridge, and I'm not just drinking juices and smoothies. I'm actually eating the food because in nature, your first juice is your teeth in your mouth. So in nature, you're not just chugging down, orange juice, right? So I can have, let's say, for example, coconut porridge. In the afternoon, I do something I call roots and peas. So I can take the lentils. Many people may not be familiar with sprouted lentils, not realizing you can sprout lentils, you can sprout black-eyed peas. Those things are inexpensive. Black beans and red beans don't sprout so well. But I can do sprouted lentils is a staple in my house. And then I make meat from coconut. I can do 20 different things with a coconut. So I can make a meat, like you have rice and peas, I make roots and peas, right? And I have my own hot pepper sauce. Just like my grandmother made hot pepper sauce, I got my own really nice hot pepper sauce. Then also what I can do, I do marinated spinach. So I can take spinach, very thinly sliced onions. I can take tomatoes. Some of them I can sun dry. It's so blazing hot out here. I got my own sun-dried tomatoes. Sun-dried tomatoes will almost be cost prohibitive if you go to any of the health food stores here. And I can see why many folks may think it's very expensive because most of the stuff in the health food store is too expensive. But I do these massive wraps inside of that I can make from plantains, that I also can make from flax seeds. Sometimes I'll even throw chia seeds. So they come out like bread. They literally come out like a type of bread or wrap. That's one of the main things people are missing is that bread. So they've got their bread fixation on, and I can stuff it with coconut meat, which I can do with the chilies that you find for $1 in the market. Those red chilies, I make a really nice, delicious chili sauce, and I also do a really delicious plantain inside coconut cream with sun-dried tomatoes and spiced cumin. It's actually a lot of food, and usually what I do as a chef and as a mom, I listen to people. Like I said, you want somebody to go, oh, I'm full. So when I hear stuff like that, that's when I know when people are licking their fingers and they say, oh my gosh, I'm satiated, then I know it's good. So I have coconut porridge in the morning, and every day I usually start with water and lime. That's number one to make sure we're hydrated. Right? I usually have some kind of bush tea. Then we can do coconut porridge. Then in the afternoon, we can have roots and peas. In the evening, we can have a really big sandwich wrap. So I make my own bread. I can use either chia and or flax seeds and plantain, and I stuff it with all different types of varieties of coconut meat or sesame meat. You know, and then I can just play around with the sauces. When the avocados come into season, which is one of my favorite, I love the pear. But I can also make, I don't know if you know what shad paneer is, like the Trini folks eat like so the shad, I can use, instead of using cheese as a base, I could do so much with the coconut. I could take the coconut, the young coconut, and use the meat to make mayonnaise. So those are some of the things that people are missing. They miss the bread. They miss the mayonnaise. They need a lot of fiber to fill them up. But they're getting full, but they're eating too much food that has a lot of calories, but not a lot of nutrition. And that's one of the reasons why people eat to the point of almost deforming our organs, because they're not really getting nourished at a cellular level.
On that note, we're going to take a break and be back.
Hey, I bring your favorite for your lunch. I shared me.
Alright, thanks, but I'm really hungry right now.
You look frustrated. What going on?
I don't know, Peter, they're far and I got a lot of bills to pay right now.
I might have a solution that can help you out.
Well, you must have got directly into Jesus then, because this one, yeah, miracle.
Not quite. But I know First Stop Speedy Money.
Well, please tell me about that.
First Stop Speedy Money is a pawn shop that is designed to help you on days just like this.
Really?
Yes, you know they pawn gold jewelry, bracelet, earring. They even do pawn and drive. This means you have full use of your vehicle and still get money.
Joe, you make it so easy?
It is easy.
Hey, yo.
Let's go check it out right now.
Visit First Stop Speedy Money at Capital Garden Plaza, on Constitution Drive in Belmopan, or at 10 King Street in Belize City.
Persons at risk of becoming seriously ill from the flu or the coronavirus, people over the age of 60, persons with medical conditions they already had, such as diabetes or heart disease, or conditions that has made their immune system low, such as HIV or cancers. At this time, there is no vaccine or treatment. Serious cases may need oxygen or ventilator support. Be caring and show support for your elderly loved one during this time. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health. Stay healthy while traveling. Frequently wash hands with soap and clean running water, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Avoid close contact with persons suffering from any cold or flu-like symptoms. Avoid travel if you have any cold or flu-like symptoms. Avoid travel unless absolutely necessary to any location that currently has local spread of the COVID-19. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or nearest health center and share your travel history. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health. Reduce your risk of viral illness like the flu or the coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water, or with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing with a tissue. Throw away, then wash hands immediately. Avoid close contact with anyone who has the cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or nearest health center and share your travel history. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
Welcome back to Morning Matters. My friend Kwasa says life is too short to eat bad food. You know, I'm going to have to take that one for today. And because she's here today, hopefully we will learn some ways that we can choose to incorporate something different in our diet. And hopefully, not only because of what is going on, but because we need to make different decisions where our food is concerned, so that we can end up with the results that we want. Everybody wants to be healthy. Not everybody wants to be skinny, because skinny and healthy healthy are two different things. And not because you are skinny means you are healthy, and not because you are heavy means you are unhealthy. I think the ultimate goal is to be healthy, you know. And thank you, Kwasa, for coming in this morning and having this discussion. I think this is a time that a lot of people are frightened, for lack of a better term. Oh gosh, how am I going to live off $75 or $100? But I think it is doable as well if we buy the right things. I think for far too often we're buying the wrong things. When we buy our food in a can, I am not a fan of the can. You know, I'm just not a fan of it. So it might work for somebody else, but it's not how I want to eat. And I thought that I would create a forum at least once in a while where people can learn from people like yourselves how they can diversify. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's not that they're going to wake up tomorrow and say, oh gosh, I'm going to just eat healthy. But maybe they can replace one meal, maybe once a week. You will replace one meal once a week with something that is not only healthy, but something that is inexpensive, healthy, nutritious, filling, and takes you the extra mile. Again, welcome back.
So there are a couple of things that I would say straight off the bat that I'm just going to give to folks. So again, it's a different channel. It's a different way I'm looking at the food. One thing is is lentils or the black-eyed peas. People, that's an easy one that you can do. You can swap out. But because it has so much water and fiber, you can add different vegetables to it. And it actually has a lot of protein in it, a nice balance of protein and carbohydrates. So lentils, chickpeas, any of the bean soups is very, very inexpensive. And that stuff is grown here, inexpensive in Belize, right? You could even take some of the beans and you can even drain off some of the broth and you can blend them into a different type of hummus or bean dips to have with different types of vegetables. So that's a very quick, that's an easy breezy exchange. The other one, which I think is huge, a huge one is ice cream and the dairy, right? Because there's so much high cholesterol and diabetes. I mean, it's unfortunate that we have so many children now that we're seeing so overweight. The diabetes, is off the meter. So if you're going to take something away, you want to put something in there to replace it so you have sanity in your home and you don't have a mutiny. So one of the easiest things to do is ice cream, or what I call nice cream, right? It's food that loves you back, right? You love the treats, but you want the treats to love you back. So just taking a whole bunch of the bananas that are sometimes not rotten and spoiled, but that have a lot of spots on them, and just have a container and put it inside of the freezer and fill it full of bananas. Then you can take that banana and you can take it and put it inside your food processor, and you can make a soft serve ice cream. It doesn't even need any sweetener. Then we have cinnamon all over the place here in Belize. You can take and grate cinnamon and nutmeg right on top of the ice cream, and you can also sprinkle raisins on it. That's the easy one. It is super sweet. It is super satiating. If you want to be a little fancier, you can cut a little bit of papaya, on top of it. Then your children have all this antioxidants, fiber. Nobody's constipated, so that's the easy fix right there. Those are two really easy things to do. And then I realized that most people are not going to give up their rice, overnight. So you can either switch to brown rice, but if you're going to eat rice, here's what I would recommend, just in the vibe of transitioning, is to do a ratio of 3 to 1, right? So let's say you're making your rice. You take mixed vegetables and you really douse your rice with vegetables, right? So it's kind of like a pilaf, right? You have so much vegetables inside that you're getting a lot less starch. So that's an easy transition, right? And I have a lot of clients over the years that are mothers. So if you have a mutiny with your husband and your children, it's not going to go well. So as a mother, you have to be a strategist. I say either you're going to go on my team, either you're coming on my team, I'm going on your team. I can't go on your team because then I'm going to be overweight. I won't be able to fit my dresses and I don't like needles. So I've got to basically strategize and almost like trick my family into eating healthier. So we know how to season food. Seasoning is not a problem, but really dramatically increasing the amounts of vegetables. And then also we have callaloo here. Callaloo here is so inexpensive. It's in the spinach family. Even the climbing spinach. Everybody can grow climbing spinach in your yard. Once you take and douse the vegetables, you can saute that if you want. Or for those people that are eating it whole, raw, and living, You can marinate it with just a little bit of vinegar and sea salt and pepper, or if you want to do a light saute. And you can take tomatoes and callaloo and onions and really mix that, a whole bunch of it, a ratio of 3-to-1 with the rice. So that's the easy transition to get people's palate used to eating more vegetables, because that's what's missing. Belizeans will eat fruit, the coconut water, those are things that adjust an environment. But the vegetables are the things that fight cancer. The vegetables are the things that keep the waste off of your waistline and keep everything moving through your pipes nice and smooth. So there are ways to start to incorporate it in very creative ways that's actually as simple and as sustainable. You know, once you got the flavor and the spices, you'll be okay.
Well, excellent. I want to move a little bit now into home gardening, because I think that this is achievable if we start to grow a little bit of what we like and what we're interested in. And if we grow it, we're more prone to eating it. Some people may be of the impression that, you know what, I don't have enough yard for grow nothing. I don't have enough black dirt for grow nothing. I don't have enough pot for grow nothing. And for all goodness, I don't have no green thumb. What would you say to them?
Oh, okay. I hope you know you're asking the right person right here, right? Because I'm the queen of any kind of excuse you got. I got you. I'm going to smash all of your excuses. Listen, I don't have a big yard here. It's not even really a massive garden. It's just creativity. Again, I think like my grandma, it's the glass half full. So dirt, you can get 50 pounds of dirt over here for about $8.50, right? People spend more than that on beer, right? On their beer and their fried jacks and the other stuff that they're eating. So also when I used to have children that would walk by my yard and they would come by here with their chips, I was like, you can't bring those chips over to Miss Kwasa's house. Miss Kwasa don't eat chips. So you got to put your chips to the side, you know, and I would give them little garden products, projects. One of the carpenters, I used to get wood chips from him for my garden, things that people were throwing away, old dry leaves. So I encourage the children in the neighborhood, if they say, oh, my pond like pepper, I was like, well, you need to take these pepper seeds and put them in the ground. So next time you see Miss Kwasa, I want to see what you planted. They thought I was joking, but they realized they wasn't getting nothing from me. You know, they asked me for a shilling. I said, you asked me for a shilling. Miss Kwasa don't go buy chips for no shilling. Miss Kwasa's eating stuff growing out of her pots. So some of the children actually I gave them seeds for the hot pepper. And I said, you know what, you can start a business. And some people might think I'm firm, but I'm a mother. I'm going to tell you like this. I tell these children, listen, what are you going to do when there's no job for you? So some of them brought me back the seeds that they had started in little pots, and they showed me the pepper plant. You know how much peppers you could grow? And I said, if you have a little business, you got a cute face. People will buy the hot peppers from you because you're a child. So why not start a farm or a business? But I don't think that conversation is being had enough with children. And so many people just they're not being sparked with possibilities. There's more than enough room for everybody to be growing something. Callaloo, sweet potato greens. I grow okra in my yard, and there's always a piece of the okra that will give me back seeds. Cilantro is growing in my yard, basil, cerasee, leaf of life. Those are some of the top herbs for upper respiratory infections. I'm sometimes shocked that more people are not using the medicine in Belize. And I had one of the crossing guards tell me that the pills they wanted to put her on was super expensive. That would have wiped out half of her budget she would have been getting from the government. You know, so I think it's really about seeing possibilities.
I like that. And I know that you are not any doctor because you are a chef. But in your opinion, and I like to hear other people's opinion, and I'm sure that there are some people out there that would like to know how they can turn some food into medicine, some plants into medicine. And in your experience, because this is a time when we have a virus that nobody knows the answer. And I am not here to assist people to guess. But what I am here to do is to listen to every conversation that may be logical and that will not hurt somebody. So if I drink some cerasee, there's no hurt in that. I don't know that it will cure anything, but there's no hurt in that. If I put some lime and garlic together and I eat that with olive oil, there is no hurt in that. I don't know if it's going to fix anything, but there's no hurt in that. So these are the conversations that I think that people should start to have, because while it may not cure anything, it definitely will not hurt anything policy. So I want to know maybe one plant that you think, especially with all that's happening, that people should have in their yard or in their house or wherever, And what is the use of it?
Well, the cerasee that you just mentioned, cerasee is a top one. In the States, this is my first time seeing cerasee grow fresh. I'm used to it being all dried out inside the Caribbean, market or Asian market in the States. It grows for like almost like nothing. Some people boil it. I take it fresh and raw. And I know people don't like bitters and they want to put a whole bunch of honey and sugar, but the bitters have a purpose. You want to taste that bitter medicine. Any kind of parasites, bugs, viruses, they don't like bitters. And also your liver likes sour, bitter food. So a lot of times we're not thinking of the organs. We're thinking of the skin and we're thinking of what we look like aesthetically, but we're not taking into consideration the organs. Your liver, your kidney, your spleen, they're all taking a hit from a lot of the things that we're eating. So the cerasee and lemon, and that's the whole thing with food as medicine. It's safe. If you turn to the food, it has the water. It has the fiber. It has a water that has so much nutrients that's much better than the bottled water that we're getting out of the store. Mother Nature has filtered water inside of a cucumber. If you want pretty skin, eat some cucumbers. Eat loads of cucumbers and papayas. But cerasee is one of the top ones. And then the other herb I would say also they call it Cuban mint or oregano. They have different names for it. It's kind of fuzzy. It has like a heart-shaped leaf. It grows everywhere inside of your yard. That you can also make a tea with it, and it's pretty harmless, so that is growing right in everybody's yard that you can make a tea with it.
What is it called?
It has different names. Some people call it Cuban mint or call it Cuban oregano. It's an oregano family. It has like a fuzzy leaf and it's green. It has a very thick stem. So it's growing all over the place. And I'm almost tempted to run outside and just grab you a piece. Should I grab you a piece?
Well, there you go. So now you know when you see this, I don't know what name you call it. People have different names for it. I didn't even know anything about it. But if I see it again, I might just grab it. And how do I do it? Boil it? Do I boil it?
You can boil it into a tea. I prefer to eat everything whole and living. And there are some things that you cannot eat whole and living for those people. There are few people, just very few here in Belize that eat whole living unprocessed foods. But you can boil it if you like into a tea. But it's growing everywhere, almost like virtually for free. There's soursop leaf, there's mango leaf, there's all of these things. And then the aloe plant. I just saw in Belize a bottle of aloe juice for $33. $33.
Well, before we go, I know we're running low on time, but I want to know, in your experience, what is mango leaf good for? I have tons of mango leaves, and I now just right now push them to the side.
That means I gotta come by you and get some mangoes because I'm a big mango lover. And I'm watching the mangoes in the neighborhood now, the blossoms. I'm watching them get about this big. So mango leaf is like it's also like a blood tonic. It's also good for it's good for cleaning the blood. It's not as sour as the cerasee, not so anti-parasitic, but it's also good just for in general for the immune system. So it's interesting that all of these green herbs are good for the immune system. So mango leaf is good for the immune system. Soursop is more so for cancer. Mango leaf is more so good for the immune system. We have several things for the immune system, which is a priority right now, is improving our immune system. So we have the food, we have the herbs, and the only other piece to add in is some type of physical movement, which you can do even if you have a small space.
Well, I love it. Start your day with water and lime. Like Kwasa says, that's a good start. That is a start. That is a practice that I sometimes do, sometimes I don't do. I guess after today I'll be more, strict with it. And try and eat food that is going to do something for your body, okay? Not because it's nice is one you must eat it. It can be nice and healthy at the same time. Kwasa, anything you'd like to leave us with?
One other thing I would say in terms of improving the immune system is Belize has so much hills here. Only place I've seen hilly that has more hills is Guatemala. And so, again, I'm very sensitive as a mother and somebody with a budget to gym memberships, right? And our physical fitness is very important to women and mothers' esteem. So a simple walking program of walking could really dramatically change the shape of people's their midsection and burn off a lot of that extra gas that's stored on the body. When I say gas, I mean fuel. But physical fitness, you cannot separate the two. Even if you're eating good food, the body needs to be active or it starts to shut down. So some type of movement, I call it a personal movement practice, which kind of rings differently than just exercise. People think that exercise is a drag, but to create some type of physical movement practice, it really does so much for your mood. In addition to improving your immune system, is one of my top secrets for feeling better. And even in any kind of a small space, even if you have like a little exercise mat and you take some water bottles or some detergent bottles, you can get a nice, a vigorous, I say movement practice, what some people call exercise. Put on some good uplifting lyrics and get moving. It is very, very critical to your mood and to your immune system. And you get a shot of really good, feel-good hormones from inside the body.
One more question before you go. Do you practice intermittent fasting, and what do you believe that it does for your body?
So, okay, so you're bringing me back to Grandma Lou again. Grandma Lou didn't call it intermittent fasting. It's like, stop eating after 6 o'clock. It's amazing how people keep selling us back our same stuff. Sometimes I think my grandmother would just chuckle and laugh at folks and say, look at these people. Intermittent means stop, close your fridge, stop, close your mouth when the sun goes down after 6 o'clock. So that's not going to sell people an expensive program and call it intermittent fasting. I'm going to just stop eating it for an hour. Her food was done early in the afternoon. Sometimes it don't make no sense. But if you want to call it that makes sense to me. Stop eating after 6. See, Grandma, she had the common sense. I'm going to go with Grandma Lou. Stop eating. So if you call it intermittent fasting, but people keep selling us back ourselves. It's just old ways, and they just keep renaming it and repackaging it.
I love it. You make a very good point, because back in the day, especially if you grew up in the country, in Belize, out in the country, by 6 o'clock the lights were off because there was no lights. When the sun went down, that was it. You have to go to bed, and nobody cooking and eating at that time. And they feed you again when it's time to go to school. So you're right. They didn't use the right term, or they didn't use those terms, but we were getting that result then. Again, I say thank you for stopping and sharing with us. Hopefully this is not our last conversation. Hopefully the next time we meet up, you will be making something that, I don't know how long before I can actually come and taste it, but you will be making something that maybe we can make and try in the comforts of our own homes during this time. Again, I say, have a wonderful day. This is Rhonda along with.
This is Kwasa. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.